Yeah, so exam will be in Moodle platform, and I think you will receive an email from me or from Moodle team. I'll send you an email. Yeah. So yeah, otherwise you'll receive an email from the Moodle desk, help desk. So yeah, if you have any question, you can ask me. Okay, so the exam will be of like 22 marks. Okay, by mistake I have made an additional question, so it will be 22 marks. And there are 7 questions. Uh, out of which there are 6 questions where like uh, I mean each of 2 marks, and there is one question, I think it is question number 5, so it will have 10 marks because there are 5 parts, 5 questions. Okay, uh, in that question number 5, and it will be of multiple choice and numerical. Numerical meaning you have to give the answer as some number. Okay, like someone, how many bits and so on. So either you have to give the answer in terms of a number, or it will be a multiple choice question. Yeah, so if you have any other question related to exam, you can ask me now.
Sir, multiple choice means only one option is correct.
Yes, only one option is correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
So, so exam will be like last semester, like we have to do one by one question and we cannot back.
I think so. I don't know what they will do, but I think so. That is the case. Yeah. 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 Any other question? No.
Sir,
Yeah.
I have
Mm.
doubt in assignment number question 6. I tried many time method but didn't get. So can you give some hint?
I think some other people. I don't know. I don't remember exactly who raised that question. Okay. So or maybe we can discuss it tomorrow. But okay, I mean, I'll just find out what is the question and then I will decide. Just a minute. I must have it. What is the question? Uh,
Sir, will there be class tomorrow after 3 p.m.?
yes. Class will be there. Yeah.
Okay.
So question number is at 6, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yeah. Some people have solved this problem. I think whatever I had seen, some people. So you can talk to your colleagues. Okay. You can talk to your friends.
Oh, sir, I saw one method using like Lagrange multipliers, but sir, I am not agreed with that method. That's why I'm asking you.
Okay. So what is the question here? Let P be a PMF corresponding to sample space, which is counted finite. Then you have to show that if this series converges, then H is finite. Yeah. Okay. Maybe we can discuss this tomorrow. Okay. Because actually we have 3 hours class. So maybe, yeah. So we will discuss it tomorrow. Okay. Yeah. Anything else?
Sir, one more doubt, sir. What
Hmm.
is the relevance of typical set? Like if we study only typical set, then can we implies all the result in which is based on sample space?
Yeah, I'll talk about it. I'll talk about it today also. I'll talk about it today. Anything else? Okay, no. Okay, so what we started talking about yesterday, I mean, the last week, we started talking about how to do a good coding. I mean, how to define. Okay, so let me write it here. So we are talking about fixed length coding scheme or fixed scheme code, let's say. So you are supplied with a set of alphabets. So let's say the set of alphabets is like A1, A2, AK. Okay, and you need to decide. So decide code words for each of these alphabets. Code words for these alphabets. But here the thing is you want to decide the length of, I mean, you want to find out the length n, okay, such that n is a fixed length. So this is length for each of this code word. So this is the restriction we have. So you want to develop a code for which each letter, source letter, or each alphabet will have length n, let's say. So that was our question. Okay, so we are trying to find out what should be the value of n. And another restriction is that we should be able to decode. Okay, once we receive a string of, let's say, code letters. Code letters means, let's say, D is, let's say, the collection of the set of code letters. Code letter meaning, let's say, for example, we always said, okay, D can be taken as like 0 and 1. Okay, so this is the set of code letters. So then, of course, we said that that once the code, a sequence of letters is received, okay, then the receiver has to decode it. Okay, then the question is, once the receiver wants to decode it, the receiver has to do it without any error. Okay, meaning that the source sequence, let's say, so the sequence of these AIs, once it is received by the receiver, so the receiver should do it free of error. That means for each sequence, source sequence, there must be a unique sequence of code letters, let's say. Okay, so that was the goal. So this is another restriction here. So the restriction is the receiver, or the receiver must decode the received or a received sequence of source letters, okay, or a sequence of let's say code letters, okay, code letters uniquely, okay. So the receiver must decode the received sequence of code letters uniquely, okay. So that means for basically what we're saying is for each sequence of source or source alphabet or source, yeah, so alphabets, there must be a separate sequence of code letters. Okay, so once a sequence of code letters is received, so receiver must decode it in order to find out what is the original source sequence, the sequence of source alphabets, let's say. Okay. So this is the restriction we have. So can the receiver do it without, I mean, any error kind of a thing? Okay. So we have to decide the value of this number n. Okay, and we need to give a bound about this number n. What should be the value of n so that it is possible? Okay. Yeah. So for that, we started talking about, okay, let us consider a sequence of source alphabets. Let's say it is U1, U2, dot 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 some UL, and these UIs are all, let's say, in A. So that means U1, U2, UN, UL, they are nothing but some of the alphabets. Okay. So this is a length of L, and then the question is the receiver. So if this is received, I mean, this is encoded by some using some code letters, each of these alphabet, then the receiver must decode it uniquely, free of error. Okay, that was the question. And then we said, okay, so if that is the case, let's say this is a sequence of this is a sequence of let's say alphabets, okay, of length L. Then we said, okay, we can use this law of large numbers, and we said, what is that? We said, okay, for any delta bigger than 0, so this is important, this is we are choosing, okay, there must exist some epsilon, okay, which should depend on delta and L, such that this probability of the event, probability of mod of IUL bar by L minus, I think it was the entropy of this bigger than delta, this would be less equal to epsilon L delta or delta L, and this epsilon will go to 0. That means the probability of this event will go to 0 if L goes to infinity. So this was due to law of large numbers. Okay, then from here, observing this fact, we have defined a sequence. Now, what is happening here is, for example, I mean, let me give you an example. Suppose when you have this English alphabets, let's say A to Z, okay, including let's say capital, small, whatever, let's say they're all same. So we have the 26 letters, okay. Now, whenever you construct, let's say a constructive word, okay, using this English letters, you see that this word, I mean, in any word, these letters do not come randomly, okay? Do not come random. I mean, you just put some of the letters together, it may not give you a meaningful sequence. It may not give you a meaningful word, okay? So that means somehow, even if you are, the sender is sending a sequence of L alphabets, it is not arbitrary. It is not arbitrary in a sense, it is not any. If it is any, then if let's say I have this D number of code letters here, let's say D equal to 2, like 0, 1, then I have to say 2 to the power L number of all possible those sequences. Okay, I have to consider all possible those sequences. But now since there is a probability distribution, let's say U here, so let's say U is the random variable. Okay, U is the random variable. Okay, for which we have considered that's U1, U2, UL, these are all copies of this random variable. So there's U1, U2, UL, there is a probability associated with it. Okay, there is already a probability distribution for this random variable U. So this appearance of U1, U2, UL, this is not random. Okay, maybe U1 is a random variable which will take some value, some alphabet A1 into AL, A1 into AK, but there is a probability associated with A1, A2, and AL. Okay, and if some, so let's say probability of A1 is very, very high, then U1, the value of U1, okay, it could be the probability of having this as as A1 is very, very high. So it is not like any arbitrary bunch of alphabets. Okay, so there is a probability distribution which is associated with it. So even if the sender is sending a sequence of L alphabets, but this is not randomly, it is not a random sequence. Okay, so now since this has happened, since there is a probability associated with it, so the question is, what is the set of sequences which is meaningful possibly? And that is why the idea of typical sequence come in the picture. We do not need to consider all possible sequences, okay, of alphabets. Actually, we need to consider only a particular set of sequences, and our job will be then whether we can decode any sequence from that set uniquely or not. Okay, if it can be done, then the thing is, okay, then we'll focus only on that set of sequences which are, I mean, the elements of which are meaningful. Okay, they I mean, if we can do that free of error, now of course that is meaningful. So that is the idea, and that's why we define this set of sequences, which is called the typical set of sequences, okay, of alphabets, let's say alphabets. So we define this set of sequences because we do not need to consider all possible sequences of all possible alphabets, because there is a probability associated with all the alphabets. Okay, and we define this typical set as this, like all this. So since this is this event, okay, is considered here as bigger or equal to delta, we consider the typical set as this, that all this UL bar, all the sequences which satisfies which satisfy this one, this inequality. So delta. Now this delta and this delta are same. That means for all those delta for which this is true, for any delta, you will find this epsilon for which this entire thing is true. That is for all delta for which this IUL bar by L minus HU as probability is almost zero when L is large. So for the same delta, we are constructing the set of sequences. So basically, if this set is T, so typical set, let me say like this is T, this set, this is a set of typical sequences. I'm the typical set, then what we can write is this is all such UL bar, okay, such that mod of this is less than equal to delta. Okay, so this is my set, okay, which I am calling it a typical set of sequences. And then we have seen that if this is the case, then we had some observations, which is like probability of T. It was, I think, bigger or equal to 1 minus epsilon delta L. And then another sequence was like if UL, the UL bar, if there is an element of this typical set, then probability of that is bounded by something. So it is like, okay, probability of this, I think it was something like 2 to the power minus some L HU minus delta, and it is bigger or equal to 2 to the power minus L HU plus delta. Okay, yeah, minus, no, this should be plus because it has to be bigger, this is minus. Okay, so this is true for any UL bar which is in T, okay, which is a typical sequence. And then also we gave a bound about this number, that how many what is the size of that set, how many such elements are there. We derived a bound for this, and we said it is 2 to the power L HU plus delta. And I did not prove this. I gave you a homework. So this was 1 minus some epsilon. This epsilon is same as that epsilon. It was something like yeah. So it was delta L, and times it was something 2 to the power, I think 2 to the power some Yeah, L H U plus delta, something like that. Okay, plus or minus maybe. Yeah. So this is the three observations we had. So what I'm saying is we are constructing a typical set of sequences, which is a sequence of alphabets, let's say, okay, of length L, capital L, such that this inequality is satisfied. That means I of UL bar. Okay, now how do you find I of UL bar? So that we discuss. So this I UL bar, I mean, you can calculate this. Depend if you give me any value delta, once I know the probability distribution of all the alphabets, I can find this out, okay, just using the formula. And I said this will convert this multiplication into summation. So this is what is used here, property of this log. So yeah, so this is I of UL, which will be, I mean, now I will bar, which will be, I think, equal to minus some log of, this is the definition of our self information, right? So log base 2 probability of UL bar. And so there, this probability is because we have a memoryless source. That means all this E1, E2, UL, they are of independent. So this probability of UL bar is nothing but product of the probability of this individual UIs. Okay, and then we can see that this will be nothing but sum of this I mean self information of UIs or UL. Okay, so we can calculate or we can check it, like whether a sequence is there in the typical set or not. Okay, and yeah, so this was the thing. We constructed this set and we called this set as the typical set of sequences. And then the idea is, once we found out that this is the case, I mean, this is the set having this many elements for any given delta, and there is a very crucial thing, which is that it is related to the entropy of U. Okay, entropy of U. Everywhere there is this entropy of U is coming in the picture. Entropy of U is nothing but the U is the random variable here, which are like for which you have these copies like U1, U2, UL. Okay, so yeah. So now the question is, okay, so do you understand it now? Somebody asked me about the typical set. So this is our typical set. So the idea is, okay, this will not, so we don't need to consider all, because the sender is not supposed to send all possible sequences of length L. Instead, he'll only send, okay, he or she will only send a set of sequences, not all the sequences, and it depends on the probability. And due to the set of large numbers, since I mean law of large numbers, this L is large, you can assume that this is probability of this event is less equal to this epsilon L delta, and then we construct this sequence which is less equal to delta. Okay, so this is the construction, like this is the typical set of sequences. Okay, of course, so the sender may send some sequence which is not in the set. Okay, that could also happen. We'll talk about it, but most likely he will send a sequence from this set. And now you can see also this is a huge set of this is a huge set. I mean, this typical set, this is a huge number actually. This number is better. So if epsilon goes to 0, so this is 2 to the power L H U minus delta. Okay, and delta is small. It is like 2 to the power L times H times U. You can assume like this. So this is a huge number. I mean, yeah, so if length is L, then I mean this we are assuming that is log base 2. So 2 to the power L is a huge number multiplied with this entropy of this. Okay, so this is a huge set. I mean, it is not a small set. Okay, this is also a very huge set. Okay, it's not very small set. So so this typical, so we are assuming that this is our focus of interest, that most likely the sequence of letters, okay, will be chosen from this typical set and it will be sent to the receiver. But okay, so then the goal would be, okay, if that is the set, then we'll try to define the number n. Okay, how to define the length? Okay, what should be the length of each of these source letter, such that this set of sequences can be decoded uniquely, or the probability of error will be as small as possible. Okay, so there will be no source of confusion that once a sequence of code letters is received, okay, the receiver has to decode it, and he must do it, okay, without any confusion, without any error, okay. The receiver must decode it in terms of a source sequence, okay. So, and the receiver should do it without any confusion or without any error. So then the question is, okay, if this is the typical set, then how to define the length, okay, how to define this n, capital N? Is there any doubt? Any question? No. Okay, so now the thing is, now question, now we want to solve this problem. That question is how to decide the value of n. That's the question. Okay, so we'll try to give a bound of this n, like n has to be at least this. Okay, then of course, if you take uh, n to be a very large number, like for example, if you consider it is like a large number which is larger than, let's say, L, then you have all this possible set of this uniquely decoded. But we don't want that. We want a little bit less than that, maybe. So if you take the maximum n possible, like 2 to the power n here, if you want to check 2 to the power n is bigger than, let's say, 2 to the power d, then like, okay, this is set of all in sequences, and this is set of all d sequences, okay, of 0 ones, then it is possible. But okay, we want to do less than that, so we don't want to have so big, let's say, we don't want to have, we don't want to have code words of very large length, let's say. Okay, so we want to reduce that. So that's the question. Okay, now for that we said, okay, let us first assume that we want to choose this n in such a way that n log d, okay, this d is the number of, you can say, the number of code letters, like d could be equal to 2 in general. Okay, you can, if you can assume that d is set of 0 and 1, then it can like this. So it is, you can assume that it's just space 2. So first we said, okay, let us pick this to be, let's decide the value of n to be this. So we are trying to find a bound here. So now see, this delta is very, very important here, because delta defines the typical set. Okay, so the typical set is defined by delta, by the way. Okay, so depending on delta, you are defining everything. Okay, because depending on delta, you have this epsilon in the large law of large numbers also. So based on your delta, if you fix that that this has to be satisfied, then what we have seen, okay, that okay, so this is log 2 d to the power n, which is bigger than L HU plus delta. So it means d to the power n is bigger or equal to 2 to the power L HU plus delta. Okay. Now since now this number, now what is this number? This number is exactly is this one. Okay, this one. This is the, I mean, it could be of that size, this typical set. Now since d to the power n is larger than this, so then what does that means? That means that n, so the code word, the length of the code word is capital N, and it is much more than this number. So this is the number of typical sequences possible. So that means we have enough number of code words if we select the n in this way. So if n is selected using this criteria, then we have enough number of code words, okay, such that you can define, let's say, separately for each element of, we can define the code word separately for each element of the typical set, because this is the number of elements of the typical set. It's the number of elements of the typical set. Okay, the typical set. So, and this d to the power n is, so if I decide n to be a number which is satisfying this inequality, then of course we can separate it to it. So probability of error will be, of course, go to 0. But I didn't give you the bound. So I asked you like, okay, if PE denotes the probability of error. Okay, probability of error means what? Okay, probability of error, meaning meaning of this is what? Meaning for each received sequence of code letters, okay, there is a unique source sequence. Okay, so if that is not, okay, if complement of that happens, then we'll say that there will be an error, and then we can define what is the probability of error. So probability of error means what is the probability that this does not happen. So this is what I have written here inside the bracket. This does not happen. Okay, so what is your guess about this? We want to found a bound. This will be less than equal to epsilon L delta or delta L. Now, do you agree with me or not? And when, of course, if that is the case, then if when L is large, then of course this error will go to 0. I mean, this is obvious, but still I'm asking. Why this should be the bound? Yeah, see here. So probability,
Complement.
probability
Complement
of
parts.
So because this is less equal to L delta. So this is the complement of this less equal to delta. So it is the complement is bigger than delta, which is bounded by this epsilon L delta. So that's why it has to be less equal to this number. So, and see here now, if L is very, very large, okay, then P basically goes to 0. Okay, so you can say the probability of error is very, very small when L is arbitrarily large. Okay, so yeah, so then what is the criteria for N? The criteria is this one. Okay, but what does this mean? We can say this means just so okay, I need to see this. So this means N by L. Okay, so if this, then probability of this equal to 0, and this happens. So this is my final conclusion. Happens when N by L. Okay, so L is the length of the sequence, then N is the length of the code word. Okay, N by L is bigger equal to, okay, this is bigger equal to L times, oh, L2 I already have taken here, so SHU plus, I think, delta, yeah, plus delta by log of D. So in general, you can assume that D2 be equal to 2 if you consider only two code letters like 0 and 1. So if D equal to 2, then the denominator value is 1. So N by L has to be bigger equal to HU plus delta. And you can also say that delta you can choose delta to be equal to a small number. So essentially it means N by L, this ratio, okay, this ratio has to be bigger equal to the entropy of the random variable. If that is the thing, then you can uniquely decode each element of the typical set. Okay, so it means you can almost do it without any error, because the probability of error will go to 0 when L is very, very large. Okay, so if L is very, very large number, that means you can choose N this way. So N by L has to be bigger or equal to HU plus delta. If this is the way you choose N, then you can almost uniquely decode all possible coded letters into source sequence. Okay, a sequence of coded letters into source sequence. Okay, Now the question is, can I give a bound, upper bound? This is the lower bound for this number. Okay, so this is a lower bound. So the question is now, can I choose any number which is bigger than this, or can I give a bound such that I mean I have to choose a number which is less than that, otherwise let's say my error will increase, something like that. Okay, so can I now, so it has to at least n by L has to be this one, this number, hu plus delta by log d. Okay, so now is that so this is the lower bound. The question is, can there be any upper bound, so that I have to choose n by L, a number, n should be a number such that n by L should be bounded by two numbers, and I have to choose that n, otherwise my probability of error will increase. Okay, so then question is, okay, is there any upper bound? Is there any upper bound for n by L? Okay, and the answer is yes, there is an upper bound. And for that, in order to find out the upper bound of this, we'll assume that let's say n. Okay, so let us assume that we choose n such that n log d, okay, less equal to L. So this is I'm choosing because it's a proof. Okay, so I have no intuition, but this works. So this is what is called a constructive proof in mathematics, that it could be a very big popular theorem, but unless you know the construction of the proof, you don't know anything how to prove it, because it's a difficult task. Okay, so unless you know the proof, you do not know how to prove it. Okay, so let us assume that n log d is less equal to this. Okay, so that means what? This means what? D to the power n is so this is 2. This is 2 to the power uh, yeah, so 2 to the power L hu minus 2 delta. So what I'm saying now here, so if I choose n this way, that n log 2d is less equal to this number, okay, L times hu minus 2 delta, then d to the power n can be at most this one. What is d to the power n? Number of, you can say, number of sequences of length n, okay, where the letters are coming from here, coming from the set D. Okay, so d to the power n, so number of code words, you can say that this is at most this number. Okay, if you choose n to be this way. Okay, so now what happens is, we already know that probability of this, probability of UL bar, okay, is, I think we had a bound for this, yeah. So we had a bound like, so if you pick any sequence from the typical length, typical set, okay, it has at most, yeah. So
Sir, in the right hand side, that will be 2 to the power minus L hu minus delta, and left hand side that will be plus.
why? Oh, it is 2 to the power minus, right? This is not okay. Okay. So 1 by this has to be again. No? Yeah. Yeah, this has to be minus. Yeah, guys. So because it is 2 to the power minus, it is not 2 to the power plus times L. Okay. Yeah, so otherwise this high, this kind of number will be bigger than this. Okay, so we already know that P, so probability of UL, okay, is less equal to this number, 2 to the power minus L HU minus delta. Okay, so every UL, okay, has this probability. Let's say you may assume that this is equal for the time. Okay, so or maybe you can say that the probability of choosing any UL, okay, is at most this 2 to the power minus L. This is a very small number. Okay, then the question is, and this number of sequences of length L, okay, is less equal to this 2 to the power L HU minus 2 delta. Then the question is, so what is the probability that each element of this typical set, each element of typical set is typical set T, like which satisfies this one, this inequality, okay, that can be decoded uniquely. Okay, so this is the number of this number of such sequences, and this is the probability that this will occur. Okay, any typical any element of the typical set will occur with at most this probability. So now if I want to calculate what is, let's say, what is the probability, what is the probability that we can provide a code word for each. We can provide a code word for an element of the typical set. So, what is the probability that there is a code word? There is a code word, okay, or there is a separate code word for each. Or we can write like there is a separate code word, or you can just say there is a code word for an element of the typical set. So this many, so this one, so let's say this is A and this is, let's say, B. Okay, so this is my question now. So A gives me a bound about the number of code words, okay, and B gives me a bound that the probability of having a sequence from the typical set. Okay, then the question is, what is my probability that there is a code word for a typical set, for an element of the typical set? Because any element of the typical set is occurring with most probability this, and number of elements is this. So product of these two number will give me that at most that is the probability that there is a code word for this sequence which is in the typical set. So this, the answer to this question is, this is 2 to the power L HU minus 2 delta times 2 to the power minus L HU minus delta. So which will give me what? This L will get cancelled and this will be 2 to the power minus L delta plus this minus L delta. Okay. So this is the probability that, I mean, this is the at most probability. Okay. So this is probability is less equal to this. I mean, this probability is less equal to this number. Okay. This is the at most probability that there is a code word for this, because this is the number of code word. If I choose n to be this way, then the number of code words is this one, at most this one, and probability. So if I draw a picture, so let's say this, and this is my typical set. Okay, and this is set of all sequences of, I mean, including typical set. This is a set of all sequences of, let's say, letters of length L. Okay, and this is where this is the set of typical set. Okay, now number of typicals, the probability of having a sequence which is in the typical set is less equal to this number, at most this one, which is given by B, and this is the number of n length code words. So this times this will give me a probability that this evil bar, which is in the typical set, has a code word. Okay, for n length code word, let's say d to the power n. I mean, if we choose, so at a separate code word for each of this typical element of the typical set. Yeah, any doubt about this one? No. Okay, and then yesterday we also calculated, recall, we also calculated what is the probability of t. We have a bound for this. So what is the probability of t? So because it is an event, because it is a set of, is a subset of all possible sequences, right? So this is my sample space. This consists of all possible sequences of alphabets of length L, and inside that I have a subset which is typical set. So we gave a bound for this. We proved the bound, which was I think 1 minus. So this was the bound for, I think this was the lower bound. Yeah, so this was the bound. P of t, the probability of t is equal to 1 minus epsilon. So I have this. Less equal to 1 minus epsilon delta L. Okay, probability of t is equal to this. Okay, so if probability of t is equal to this, that means what? At most this. So if you assume that this is also equal, that means what? If I choose, so what is the probability? So probability of t means, what is the probability of t? That means that's the sequence is in the typical set. Okay, that means that event occurred. So whenever I say probability of that event, that means that event will occur with that probability. So an event does not occur means what? There is an element which is outside this event. Okay, so that means the complement of this. So I can have a sequence, okay, which is not in the typical set. Suppose the sender picks a sequence by accident, okay, or maybe due to the requirement, but which falls beyond the set of the typical set. That means which is not inside the typical set. So once I have a probability for the typical set, okay, and I know that if, okay, let me write it here. So if probability of t is less equal to delta, less equal to this, so that means so the probability that that a sequence UL bar, let's say UL bar, okay, is chosen from outside T is at most. What will be this one? What is the probability that it is chosen outside T? Probability is less equal to 1 minus epsilon delta, or you can assume that it is equal to 1 minus epsilon delta delta L. And what is the probability that will be outside that? So what is the outside that means what is the probability of T complement? The probability of T is this 1 minus epsilon. What is probability of T complement?
Sir,
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
sir, it will be at least epsilon delta L.
Yeah. So epsilon delta T, delta L.
So
Okay.
it would be at most.
Yeah, because this is at most. Because it will be less than that. No, suppose it is equal to, then it is epsilon. If it is less than that, then it will also be less than that. At most that. So it's just its complement, whatever that is at most, and then this also be the at most. So because that's the maximum probability it can have, right? Because if it's less than that, then it will be less than that. So now what I'm saying, what was your question? Can you please repeat again?
So I was just asking, like, probability of T complement will be 1 minus PT, so then it will be greater equals. So that's why I was thinking that it will be at least epsilon delta L.
Yeah, so I have probability of T, which is less equal to this number, 1 minus epsilon delta T. If I take the complement of that, no, I will be less than this, no, so it will be at most.
So probability of T is, I think, at most.
Yeah, it's at most. Okay, but this is not a big deal. I mean, okay, yeah, please go ahead.
Then sir, here probability of t is less than equal to, that means probability of t at most 1 minus epsilon delta L. That means
Yeah, power of
probability,
t is at most. Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
means
Go ahead.
complement will be at least epsilon delta L.
Just a minute. So if it is less than this, 1 minus this, it is less than 1 minus epsilon, then
Sir,
yes,
sir, the probability of complement t is equal to the 1 minus probability of t.
yeah, yeah.
Then we take minus of this inequality and add 1 of both the sides.
Sir, actually, in the first equation, that was probability of t greater equal 1 minus epsilon delta L. In fact, today we have written that before.
Okay, let me do that. Yeah, you are saying something. Yeah, please go ahead. I didn't hear you. What is that? What?
Hello, sir. I was telling that mm, the first equation, the recall, that was
Oh,
probability
yeah,
of t
yeah.
greater equals, not less equals. In fact,
Probability of t.
today, yeah. In fact, today we have written that before, like in like one or two pages before.
No, it was probability of error.
No, before that, I think. Yeah. That number one
Yeah.
is probability of t greater equals.
What did you prove last day? I don't remember. Just let me recall. Otherwise, again, we have to prove it. So just by taking sum of this, it was greater equal to. Okay. It was greater equal to. So it was greater equal to this. Yeah. Probability of t. It's not less equal to. I think greater equal to. Yeah. It is not greater equal to. It is less equal to. Yeah, I think here is the mistake. This is greater equal to. Yeah. Okay, so if this is greater equal to this at least, so this is at most. Now this makes sense because I was a little bit confused. Yeah, okay. Because I need that to be at most, otherwise I'll not be able to prove what is happening because I need to show something else. So yeah, now, okay. So probability that the sequence will be chosen from outside T is at most this epsilon delta T, delta L. So now our question is, what do we want to prove? We want to find out that if we choose n this way, then what is the probability of error? Okay, so if we choose n this way, then we have seen that the probability that so the probability that there is a code word for element of this typical set, that was this one. Okay, now we prove that the probability that the sequence is chosen from outside this is this. So now what is the probability of error? Who can tell me what is the probability of error? Say this is very important here. This is the probability that there is a coded. Okay, guys, I'm just coming. Okay, so I have to go somewhere. Just give me 2 minutes. Okay, I'll just be back. Okay, so yeah. So what is the probability that the code word be an element of the typical set? It is at most 2 to the power minus L delta. Okay, this is the probability. Okay, and what we have, it is outside of this is epsilon delta L. Now the question is, this probability 2 to the power minus L delta. Okay, so that means the typical the element which is in the typical set, okay, it has a code word. That means it can be uniquely decoded. Okay, I mean, once you receive that sequence, okay, so this can be uniquely decoded. And this is the probability epsilon delta L. This is at most the probability that this is outside the typical set. So if it is outside, that means there is a chance of error. So my question is now, then what is the probability of error? If this is the probability that it is in the typical set, and this is the probability that the sequence is outside the typical set, then what is the probability of error? Who can tell me this? Okay, so let me say other way. What is the probability that the error will not occur? Can I give a bound for that? What is the probability that, I mean, what is the probability that it will not occur? The error will not occur. So can I say that not occur means if this is the probability of error, what is the value of 1 minus this 1 minus p? Or you can just consider also just p. You don't have to consider 1 minus p. So one of them will give me a bound. Hmm? An idea?
This will be greater than equal to 1 minus epsilon.
This will be greater or equal to 1 minus epsilon. So that means probability of error is bigger or equal to 1 minus epsilon. But what is the role of this one? That this is the probability that it will be in the typical set. A typical set, and it has a code word. It has a code word. That means that should not be the part of the error. So whenever you are writing this, that means it is the complement of that. So when you find a bound, then that guy 2 to the power minus L delta must come.
Sir, what is actually the meaning of error? The code word will be outside typical set, only that.
No, it has no correspond. So once you receive the code word, okay, or maybe sequence of code words, so it has no corresponding element in the typical sequence, or maybe you cannot decode it. It does not have a corresponding source sequence. Then that means there is an error. Basically, you receive a code, okay, or sequence of code words, but because what is happening? The sender is sending the receiver a sequence of E1, U2, UL. This is a source sequence. That means this UIs could be one of this A1, A2, AL. Okay. Now for each of this UI, okay, this is encoded as in length code word. Okay, so let's say using 0, 1. So this entire thing U1, U2 dot UL, that is the word. Okay, that is a sequence of alphabets that the sender wants to send to the receiver. Now, since each of this UI is encoded using, let's say, a sequence of 0 ones, then that sequence will be obtained by the receiver. Now, receiver job is to decode it. Now, what we said is we are not constructing code words for all possible sequences. We are only constructing code words only for the sequences which are in the typical set. If that is the case, then there is a possibility that whatever is being sent, that was not a part of the typical set. Okay. Then if it is not of the typical set, of course you cannot decode it. Okay, as the first thing. Second thing is there is a probability also here that this is the probability that the sequence is in the typical set and there is a code word for it. Okay, there's a code word for it and the sequence is typical, and this is at most this is the probability of that. So if this is the probability of, so that means even if inside a typical set, so there is a probability that it may not have a code word. Okay, so when there is an error occurs, it means what? That the receiver received a sequence of code words, okay, which has no corresponding source sequence. Then what is the probability of that?
Epsilon plus 1 minus 2 to the power minus L delta.
It is for PE. You are saying it for PE or 1 minus
Yes,
PE?
P.
PE. Okay, PE is bigger or less than? Bigger equal to or less equal to? Or maybe P equal to what? What did you say?
I said 1 minus 2 to the power minus L delta plus epsilon. Like I am thinking about like the one case is the code word is the source sequence is out of typical set, and another possibility is the source sequence is in typical set, but uh, there doesn't exist a unique code word for that.
Okay. Anybody else wants to say anything? Okay, so let me put it this way. Probability of T, this one, probability of T is bigger or equal to this one, 1 minus epsilon delta N. And if T is in the typical set, there is a probability that it has a code word, which is 2 to the power minus L delta, right? So if I write, what is the probability of error? So that means, let me write it this way. This is, let's say, bigger equal to 1 minus epsilon delta L, okay, minus 2 to the power minus L delta. Then there is a chance that probability of, because this is the probability that this the sequence is in the typical set. Okay. Now there is another probability that it is not there. That's why I'm subtracting it. There is, I mean, this is the probability that the sequence which is in the typical set and has a code word. If it's not having code word, that means I have to take the subtraction of this one, minus of this one. So that means what happens is, that means if I do it this way, then what is happening? I can say 1 minus probability of E, okay, this is less than equal to epsilon delta L plus 2 to the power minus L delta. Is that okay? So I am using this one probability of T is bigger or equal to this and this one, that it is in the typical set and it has a code word. This is the probability for that. So if let's say 2 to the power minus L delta is equal to the probability, then this is the complement of that. That means it does not have a code word. That's why I'm taking the negation because I have to reduce that probability from there. Hmm? I mean, this is ad hoc. This I don't require. Just this one is enough. Any doubt about this one? Any question?
Sir, 1 minus epsilon was the probability of the source sequence to be in typical set. So,
Yes.
so how can you put it that in the error section? Like,
No,
can you
but
just
it is, yeah, it is in the typical set, and when it is in the typical set, okay, it may not have a code word. This is the probability that it has a code word. 2 to the power minus L delta. Now what I'm saying, I mean, if it is in the typical set, so there are two things. One is it can be out of the typical set, okay, and it can be inside the typical set. And inside the typical set, there could be a chance. Okay, so this is T, this is T, and this is complement of T. Right. Now there is some set here, event here, for which the error will occur. Okay, so this is a bad picture, but let me say there is an intersection because there may be an element in the typical set which does not have this thing. It does not have a code word. Okay, so that's why I'm writing it this way. Now my question is, what is the probability that it is in this thing, and then there is an error. Okay, so now I am saying that this will be equal to, what is the probability that it is there? Probability of it is, I would write like this. Probability of T minus, how do I write it? Probability of T intersection, no, not exactly, but yeah, so if this is my event, this is, let's say, that error occurs, so event without T intersection probability of E. This is what I'm writing. I mean, everything, if you make it equal, not all the bounds, let's say all the inequalities are equal. This is what I'm writing. Can you guys see the screen?
yes, sir.
Where is that gone? Yeah, picture. So it is in the typical set, and also there is no code word for that. So this I should not write probability of T complement, but so how do I write it? Okay, let me write it that way. Probability error is writing a probability that is occurred with T minus probability. It is in T, but it does not have a code word. So that is the event here actually. This is the event. Because if it is in the probability of, it is in the typical set, and there is a probability that this is in the typical set, and then it has no code word. Okay, so that is what I'm writing. Okay, maybe we can discuss this later, maybe tomorrow again. Let us continue for the time being. Maybe I'm unable to convince this to you. I'll find other means to convince it to you. So yeah, so if this is the case, let us assume that this is the case. This is okay. This is not okay. So if this is the probability of is, if I assume that this to be equal to 1 minus epsilon minus 2 to the power L delta, then what happens if T goes to infinity? Then sorry, L goes to infinity. Then if L is large, okay, then what happens? What does PE will go? What does it go? PE. If L is very, very large, and of course you can also assume delta is not 0, so delta is at least bigger than 0. Then what will happen?
One minus epsilon.
And epsilon will go to 0.
Epsilon is also, yeah, epsilon is also going to 0.
So probability of error is very, very certain. So that means, so if this condition is satisfied, this condition, this n log 2d is less equal to L times HU minus 2 delta. If that is the thing, if this happens, then the probability of error will approach to 1. I mean, it will certain that there will be an error, okay, for any delta. But this means what? This condition means n by L is less than this. So this, and this happens oh, it's already almost 4:30. This happens when n by L, okay, n by L is less than equal to less than equal to HU minus 2 delta by log 2d. Okay, so if this happens, then this is certain that this error will happen. So I have to take n but in such a way that n by L has to be strictly less than this. Okay, I mean, yeah, so, and then here I have this one probability will go to 0. You have n by L, this is bigger equal to this. Okay, and if I have NL by L is less than this, then I will have probability of error which will be close to 1. And this is what is our actually Shannon's source coding theorem. How do you, if you use fixed length code word for each of this alphabet, then this is what is called the source coding theorem. So we actually proved Shannon's source coding theorem, which says the following. Suppose we have a discrete memoryless channel as source. Okay, we have a memoryless source with entropy, let's say hx. Okay, we assume that is hu, doesn't matter, hx. And okay, now let just consider coding, coding a sequence of a sequence of alphabets, or a sequence of alphabets of a sequence of length L of alphabets, into sequences of n code length, or in length code words of alphabets. What I'm writing, consider coding sequence of length L, sequences of length L of alphabets into sequences of sequences of code words, each of length n from a, let's say, set of code letters, let's say D. Then then I can say that for any delta bigger than 0, if what was that, n by L was bigger or equal to what did you call it? This one, bigger or equal to this. So equal to hx plus delta by log p. Then the probability of error goes to 0 if L is large. Conversely, if n by L is less than or equal to this hu and hx minus 2 delta. Was it 2 delta or something else? What did we assume? 2 delta. N by L less than or equal to this. Delta by log p. Then probability of error is close to 1 when L goes to infinity. Now, from this theorem, okay, this is a very big theorem actually. Now, from this theorem, what is our conclusion? If we assume, okay, now see here, this log 2d, okay, this value is 1 if d equal to just 0, 1, okay, and delta can be, let's say, very close to 0. So delta has no contribution. So that means what is happening? So n by L, so what is happening? N by L is bigger or equal to hx plus delta by log 2d. In that case, the probability of error goes to 0. And when n by L is less equal to this, hx minus 2 delta by log 2d, then probability of error goes to 1. In both the cases, L goes to infinity. So how do we interpret this theorem? Now see, L is bigger, L is very large. What does it mean? That means I am sending a large sequence of alphabets, infinity. That means what? Once we have a communication channel, I can consider its lifespan or its lifetime, because I'm considering that the number of sequences, okay, it sends, the length of the sequence it sends is very, very large. So that means in its entire lifetime, whatever the number of, let's say, the number of alphabets it has sent, so that can be considered as a sequence, entirely as a sequence of length L, and L is close to infinity because L is very, very large in its entire lifetime. Okay, and N is the number of code letters. Okay, a code length, you can say, for each of these alphabets. Then the question is, these two inequalities are true. Then that means if I want to have a strategy to decide my N, then N by L, this has to be bigger or equal to this one, or you can say just hx by log d. Here hx, okay, here it is a little, this is minus, means you have to subtract this from, because that was delta, this is 2 delta, so it is little bit less than this. So then hx by log 2d, you can approximate that this is the small number possible for let's say, for having a code word, okay, for each of this alphabet. This is what it means, because in L goes to infinity, it cannot have any other meaning than this one, because nobody would send a sequence of letters or alphabets whose length is infinity. So you have to consider that it is my lifetime, and all the sequences, all the alphabets it can send. Okay, then what should be my N? The N should be that N by L should be approximately close to this. So that means N by L means it is the ratio. So ratio means you can say that it will be approximately, the N will be approximately equal to this thing, hx by log 2d or less log d. So smallest number possible, because it has to be bigger or equal to this number. So smallest number of code letters, or yeah, so code words, okay, possible for each source letter, I should say. Yeah. Okay. So this is a very big theorem, which is due to Shannon, and we prove this theorem. Now we will focus on, let's say, variable length coding, which is most important in our context. Any question? Variable length. Code words. Hmm?
Sir, can you explain the interpretation of last theorem?
This one. So what I'm saying
Yes.
is this theorem is valid when L is very, very large. Now the question is, how do we explain this thing? L is very, very large. L is close to infinity. That only can be explained if you consider that you have a communication system where you are sending sequences of alphabets in your entire life, let's say. Then only L can be close to infinity. Otherwise, it cannot be. And if that is the case, then I mean, L is very, very large, let's say. Then n by L, this has to be bigger equal to this number, hx. So ultimate thing is that n, the length of the code word that we're choosing, it has to be connected to the entropy of the source sequence, the alphabets we are choosing from. So let's say in the entire life, whatever number of messages we have sent using some English letters, okay, then for each of this English letter, what should be the code length, okay? If you use, for example, 0, 1, so it has to be approximately equal to hx. So the ratio at least has to be hx, the entropy of that. This is approximately what it means. Any doubt?
Yes, sir, clear now.
Okay, so we will gradually try to understand this because this is really, really abstract actually. Okay, so yeah, well, if we keep on doing it, then gradually we think we will be able to understand like what is going on here. Okay, now let us say we'll focus on variable length code words. That means, okay, that means we have a set of alphabets, which is, let's say, A1, A2, AK, and now I want to design and of course there is a probability associated with this. The probability of A1, it has some probability of A2, and it has some probability of AK. Okay, and we now want to define code words for all these alphabets. Okay, and that code word that can be, I mean, the length of the code words for different alphabets could be different, so it need not be fixed. Okay, so for example, you may assume, okay, or we may assume that, let's suppose okay, nk be the code word or length of the code word, for AK, k equal to 1. Okay, this is capital K, small k. K is equal to 1, 2 up to, let's say, K. Okay, this is the thing. So now the question is, how do I, so here the problem is I have n1, n2, dot, 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 nk. So the question is, how do I decide these values? Okay, what should be n1, what should be n2, what should be nk? So instead of doing each, instead of approximating or estimating each of these ni's, so the question here is, what is the average value of this nks? Okay, what should be the average value of this nk? So that means we want to find out, okay, we are interested in approximate or estimate, okay, n bar, let's say, which is summation of p ak nk k equal to 1 to capital K. Okay, estimate the average number of code alphabets or code letters per source, per alphabet, per source letter. Okay, so this is the average number of, okay, code letters per source letter or alphabet. So this is the question now. So what should be the minimum value of this and so on in bar? What is the estimate of this one? Okay. So when we are talking about variable length code word, then our goal is not to decide the code word for each code word for each alphabet or each source letter, but what is the average? Okay, average number of bits you can say. Okay, or average length of the code word for these alphabets. What is the average length of the code word? Is that clear? So here the problem is a little different because here we are not estimating N1, N2, Nk, we're estimating the average. On average, how many, on average, what is the length of a code word? Okay, that is what we are interested in. Okay, I'll start with, so before we determine or we estimate N bar, okay, the average length. Okay, let us define first some of the codings. Okay, so let me fix an example. So let's say I have source letters. Okay, let's say I have source letters A1, A2, A3, and A4. Okay, and I have the probabilities. Okay, that probability. Okay, probability of okay. So here, let's say probability of A1 is 0.5, A2 is 0.25, A3 is 0.125, this is 0.125. Now I want to design some code word, okay, and then I'll try to find out. I'll try to estimate what is N bar. Why I'm doing it through this example, okay, we'll try to see that if we want to find, okay, a minimum number for this N bar, if you want to estimate this average code word length, average length of the code word for each of these alphabets, then how can we do it? And second thing is, when we are doing it, we already have another restriction, which is it has to be uniquely decodable. So whatever code word which you will assign for each of these alphabets, okay, they should be uniquely decodable. Okay, that is another restriction we have. Okay, and keeping that in mind, we want to define what sort of code word is possible. Okay, what should be our estimate for the N bar. Okay, what is, so there are two questions here. What is the minimum value of N bar? Okay, and if we have some minimum value, how do I generate a set of code words for the set of given alphabet such that that minimum is attained? Okay, so we have two questions to answer here. One is first to determine the minimum value of the average length of the code word, and second is how do I achieve that? How do I design codes which can achieve that? Keeping in mind that the code word, okay, they have to be decodable. Okay, so if the sender sends a sequence of source letters, encoded source letters, that the receiver must be able to decode it uniquely. Okay, so yeah, this is how we'll go about it. Now, before we proceed, I'll define something, but let me just start with an example. Let's say this is my coding scheme. This is coding scheme 1. Okay, let me say A1 is 0, A2 is 0, A3 is 1, and A4 is 1, 0. Suppose this is a coding scheme. Okay, now what do you say about this coding scheme? Will it work fine?
There will be a problem of decoding.
Yeah, so this is not a good coding scheme because the 0, 0, there is will be confusion. So suppose I say the sender sends A1, A2, then the receiver will be confused whether it is A1, 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 A2, A2, A1, or A2, A2. So this is not a good code, for example. Okay. Now let's say another coding scheme. coding scheme 2. So let's say here we define 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1. Is that a good coding scheme?
So here there will be also a problem in decoding, like
Yeah.
1 1. Yeah, we have to take
Yeah.
one letter or two letters.
Yeah. So for example, if A11 is sent, that means 00 is sent for this code. So code 2, so not A11, but A1 is sent. Now once 00 is received by the receiver, now he is confused whether A3 is sent or A1 is sent. Or let's say A2 is sent or A4 is sent. So then the receiver will receive 1 1. But 1 1 means whether it is A2 or A4. So the receiver will be confused. So this is also not a good code. Okay. So I did not formally define what is called a uniquely decodable code. So let me just define. Okay, just because this is important. Okay. So a code is what? A code means the set of all code words. Okay. So a code is called, let's say, uniquely decodable. Okay, if for each sequence of source letters, okay, the sequence of code letters corresponding to that source sequence is different or is separate, let's say, okay, than any other source sequence. So that means for a different source sequence, you have different code data. Okay, this is simple. So this is the same. Okay. Now, so first question is, can we create, first of all, a coding scheme which is uniquely decodable? That's the first thing to get. Okay. So here, why is the problem? Why this is the problem? Why this is not obvious when you have this variable code length? Because in the finite code length, what happens is you can take the maximum possible. Let's say your D is fixed. Let's say D is only 0 and 1. Okay. So number of sequences is of length L, let's say, how many possible 2 to the power L sequences are possible. So 2 to the power L, if there's a number of sequences possible, okay, that many code words are possible, then depending on what is your number of uh, source letters in a sequence, the length L, that can be decided. Okay, like if taking this n is little bit large, you can assume that okay, that d to the, so which we did it here, d by n. So the first day we did it here. So yeah, so n by L, you can always do that. That n, you decide that n by L is bigger or equal to log k by log. You can always do that. Okay, so that is not an issue there. But here the issue is because it is variable length. Okay, then so the question is little difficult because we have no clue that how to assign code words of which length to which source letter. So should I, for example, here, should I assign a code word of length 1 to A1, or should I assign code word of length A4, okay, a code word of length 1 to A4, okay? So I don't know that. So then my question, what is the average length? So that's why I need to first get the idea by constructing some of the code words, and then what is happening, we want to see that. So we have two restrictions here. One is going to minimize the average length, and second one, it should be uniquely decodable. Okay. Now, once we, and I mean, how do I construct code? Okay, how do I define a code such that a code means set of all code words. So how do I define a code such that uniquely decodable? That is our first priority. Once I do that, then I will try to minimize this n bar, which is the average length. So let us first try to define a code word, a code which is uniquely decodable, and then we'll see what are the properties. Let's say this is code tree. Okay. Let me define it this way. Okay. So 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1. So, okay, so 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, and 1, 1, 1. Okay. Now, what is that? Okay, is that a good code? Good code? I mean, is it uniquely decodable? Okay, so this is a very, very special code that I have given here. Okay. Okay, so what is that? I'll talk about it. But before that, here you observe this definition does not give any clue about how to define or generate a uniquely decodable code. It only defines that given a code, whether it is decodable or not, uniquely decodable or not. It does not give me an algorithm. Okay, it does not give me a method to design a uniquely decodable code. Okay, here I have defined this code 3. This is a very famous way of designing a code, and it is called a prefix code. Okay, and you'll see that this is uniquely decodable. Why is it uniquely decodable? Okay, first let me define that code. It is called a prefix code. A prefix code is a code in which, so this is a code, okay, in which no code word, okay, is a prefix of any other code word. What does it mean? For example, here, this code 1 is not a prefix code word, because see this 1, okay, no code word like this code word is a prefix of this code word. Here also the same thing. This code word is a prefix, okay, of this code word. But here no such thing is there. You see 0, 1, 0. So 0 is not a prefix of any code word. 1, 0 is not a prefix of any code word. And of course 1, 1, 0 is not a prefix of any other code word. Okay. And this is what is called a prefix code word, and this is always uniquely decodable. So this is an example of a coding scheme, okay? Whether it will give us optimal code or not, that we'll discuss later. Optimal in a sense that is, first of all, we need to find out what is the minimum value of the average code length, average length of the code word. But we'll show that this will not guarantee, prefix code will not guarantee to achieve that optimal value or the minimum value of the average code length or length of code word. But this is a way to define a code which will give me uniquely decodable code. Okay, I think I'll stop here today, and tomorrow you have exam, and then we'll talk about this again. If you have any question, other question, you can ask me. Any question?